Just don't give up. I know this journey can be hard. I know this journey can be miserable. I know that sometimes stuff just happens that it's out of your control. Sometimes you just can't. Sorry, I'm getting. Every time I make a video, man, like, the cat was just. I'm recording on this like log, so I prop my phone up against this thing, and it's like climbing it. The dog's going crazy. Stuff is going nuts around here. It's supposed to be a deep and emotional video, and the animals are interrupting it, but whatever. Don't give up, right? Ever since I started self-improvement, ever since I started this journey, stuff has gotten in the way, right? My goals have been tested, my willpower has been tested, everything has been put to the test. Everything that I value, everything everything that I thought I was good at, every strength I thought I had, every weakness I thought I had has been tested and will continue to be tested, just like it will for you. Everything that happens for a reason, right? So no matter what you're going through, no matter what it is, right? Maybe you're struggling with consistency. Maybe you just can't seem to shake that one bad habit. Maybe you just can't seem to get consistent on that one good habit. Maybe you have an addiction. Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is that you're struggling with, understand that you're supposed to struggle with it. I am a firm believer in fate and religion, and that something happens. Everything in this world happens for a reason, right? I'm a firm believer in that. And what's important to understand is that no matter what you're struggling with, right? If you're struggling with anything, really, anything that's happening to you that's rough, maybe you're going through a rough time, maybe you just can't, you're thinking about giving up, you're thinking about quitting, you're wondering what the point is of your goal and your mission and whatever it is that you're trying to improve upon in your life, you're wondering why you're even trying, right? You just want to give up. Understand that difficulty and that challenge is supposed to happen. I spoke earlier in a video about forging and how because I have the hobby of making knives. I really like to make knives, and I'm it's just really fun. You can let out all your anger and your emotions just beating on steel and shaping it how you want it to, and it's really fun. But I made the comparison that I'm going to make in a second here, but just so it's easier for you to understand. If you take a pencil, and the pencil unsharpened is pretty useless, right? It's a stick, right? It's just a stick at the end of the day. An unsharpened pencil is just a stick with maybe a bit of rubber at the end, right? You can't do much with it. But if you put that pencil in a sharpener and literally like rip it apart, right? You're literally ripping pieces off of it and tapering it to a point so you can write with it. That's pretty painful for the pencil, right? For that pencil to go through that's probably if the pencil had feelings, that's probably pretty miserable, right? To have literal pieces of you ripped off, and then every time you get dull or you break, you have to do that again and again and again, over and over again. You're getting pieces of yourself ripped apart, right? That's probably pretty miserable. But once those pieces are ripped off that pencil and it can write, it can do anything, right? It can draw a beautiful picture. It can, write some college student's essay. It can write a memo. It can write the Declaration of Independence. It can change the world, right? Just a pencil. But if that pencil never went through that pain of being ripped apart and being sharpened, it could never have done that. It would just sat on that desk and been useless. Sometimes you have to go through pain. Sometimes you have to go through struggle. Sometimes you're gonna feel like giving up. Sometimes honestly, like, this happened to me several times when I was in self-improvement. Sometimes you're gonna think to yourself, I wish I never got on this journey. I wish I never learned that these habits were bad for me so I could just keep doing them and live in ignorance because my life was better back then. That's what you're gonna think. That's what you're gonna think when you're wandering through the darkness and you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. That's what you're gonna think. You're gonna think, I wish I never got into this journey because it would have spared me the pain of being ripped apart. But once you're finished being ripped apart, your life is gonna transform. You're going to unlock, things that you never thought you could, right? Your life is gonna be 100 million times better, right, than it was before you got on this journey. But before you get to that point, it's gonna suck. You're gonna feel like you're gonna want to quit. And guess what's gonna happen? Once you get to a point in your life where you're happy and you're content and you feel great about yourself, you're gonna start to get dull. You're gonna start to wear down. You're gonna fall into a rut. But guess what? All you have to do is just get sharp again. But every time you get sharp again, it's easier than it was the last time, right? Every time you sharpen a pen, like the first time you sharpen a pencil, you have to take a lot of material off. You're going from that like square end to the point. You gotta take a lot of material off that pencil. But after that, you don't have to take as much off. After that, it gets easier for that pencil to become resharpened. And that's what your self-improvement journey can be. Every time you fall, every time you fail, every time you mess up, you're supposed to mess up. Because that's how you get sharper the next time. Every time you go through a hard time, every time you want to give up, every time you want to fail, understand that you're just I forget what quote it was from. Honestly, it might have been Batman. I don't even know. But the night is always darkest before the dawn, right? You're going to want to give up. You're going to want to fail. You're going to want to just never think about self-improvement again. You want to go back to your old life. You want to start playing video games again. You start binge watching, doing drugs, drinking, whatever it was that you used to do and you no longer want to do. You're going to want to go back, right? Because it's hard and it's miserable. But understand the hardest moment of your journey is always right before success. That's all I got for today. May God bless you and stay wild.